We invited DMO, that's Debt Management Office, Accountant General Office, and GOEs such as NMPCL, NUPRC, and the rest of them, NCC, all. We invited all, and they made submissions to us, and based on their submissions, we made a comparison of what has been submitted to us as MTF from the executive, which is just a proposal as well. And we looked at them, we looked at the parameters and the projections they do, the forecast they made in terms of revenue, in terms of debts, and what we are expecting our GDP to look like, and the rate of inflation to come down from what it is today to a level that we will all see that the economy is working. They also gave us an idea of what they are expecting the debt to GDP ratio will be like. And from what we have seen, we are convinced that we have a positive outlook. And based on that outlook, we did our own and looked at their parameters and also make our recommendations, and which all the recommendations have been approved by the National Assembly, by the Senate. Such approval, such recommendations that we made out of the findings we have made, where, like example, the NMPC, there are claims that they have not done some remittances to a very large tune of money, and we decided that, look, we need to know where and who did not do that remittance. We call on NUPRC to give us their figure, the total output of production that we have, and then we invited Revenue Mobilization and Physical Allocation Commission to shed light on their findings from all the FAC meetings they've been doing. We also looked at the dividends that's supposed to be due to the federal government from liquefied natural gas, which Nigeria is a shareholder in that company, and what has been happening to the dividends from inception to date, because billions of dollars have been said to have been remitted, and we need to know what and where those monies goes to. So from the recommendation we have made, we did also request that the Senate should approve a situation where the committees on finance, upstream, petroleum upstreams and downstreams, gas, and national planning should look at the books of NMPC in order to ascertain the true or otherwise of those remittances that have fallen short. We are talking about trillions of naira, so we cannot overlook them. We said we must look at those things. We also discussed about the methodology we are putting in ascertaining the actual output that we have. Looking at the fact that we don't have metering system that is working, how do we now know exactly the output of production in terms of crude? With that, we also said we need to look at the next act. The next act deals purely with the issue of inspection, especially in both the oil and gas and the non-oil sectors, to see what have been exported. So from there, we can also be able to know if what NUPRC or NMPC is giving us is correct, and then compare with what the findings of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission and Revenue Mobilization is. So I think in a nutshell, these are some of the things that we discussed. And then we looked at the key economic assumptions that the MTEP came with, like the prices of the projected price of crude oil for 2025 and the projected output as well. For the output, we are looking at 2,006,000 barrels per day. So for the pricing is pegged at $75 per barrel. And then we also looked at the cost of foreign exchange, and we pegged the budget at $1,400. 1,400 naira to $1 USD. The reason for doing that is to see how we'll be able to make and then put the economy on check so that we'll see the downward review of what is existing today in terms of foreign exchange. Despite the fact that there is nothing like two prices in foreign exchange. The market determines it. So if we decide that 1,400 is a benchmark for budget, what it means is that if we have excess, we can be able to utilize that excess in areas that we feel is necessary. It's either we do the debt servicing or we agree to appropriate it to go for more infrastructural development. So these are some of the things that we did. In the area of inflation, today we have a double digits of close to 30-something percent in terms of inflation. The 2025 projection is we're looking at bringing out inflation to about 15.75, which is very realistic and can be done. And the GDP growth rate, we are putting it at the rate of about 4.6%. So I think these are basically some of the parameters we have looked at. We have also looked at the revenue and expenditure summary. They presented, and we made a summary with a recommendation that the total return revenue should be about 34.82 trillion. Proposed expenditure for the 2025 appropriation at 47.9 trillion naira, and then the fiscal deficit, which of course with the rate of 1.4, whatever we are able to make as excess, we should be able to service that deficit so that we can bring it down from the 13.08 trillion naira. The borrowing and expenditure breakdown, we also looked at new borrowings at 9.22 trillion, and then the personnel costs at 7.174 trillion. Debt servicing, which you can see has reduced drastically compared to what we used to do before, is about 15.38 trillion. And then the capital expenditure at 16.48 trillion. So in a nutshell, this is what transpired with the medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper, which also has been approved. All our recommendations were approved.
Thank you.
The issue of different committees looking at or making inquiry or investigating agencies of government.
It's working now. No, give it to the other one.
Thank you very much. As I said, the issue of setting of committees or standard committees looking at statutory committees looking at various MDAs or agency or investigating anything. As far as I understand the workings in the National Assembly, is an ongoing thing on each of those committees and having set out what they want to investigate. Like in the case, I will speak on my own, and what it entails in ours is the issue of revenue remittances. Where the Office of Accountant General is claiming this is what has been remitted, or NUPRC saying this is what we have done, this is what the production is, this is what we have been able to realize and remitted to the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, or what NMPC is telling us they have remitted. Is it the 9 trillion that NMPC said, the Accountant General Office or NETI claiming that NMPC have not remitted? Or is it the 7 trillion that NMPC is saying that they have remitted? So we need to look at it, and then which area NMPC is talking about being owned, because they said they have done their own part. It is the government that's supposed to also settle them certain amount of money. So our own concern is about the revenue shortages. We want to know where are those shortages and what created such shortages, with the fact that change will time to time have to look at all those parameters that need to move a country. And I've said it times without number that on the floor, tax is not a tool of economic growth. What you will see that will change the face of economy of any nation is production. And it is out of that production you'll be able to make the taxes. You'll be able to realize the taxes. So for me, the issue of tax reform is before us. We are doing wider consultation. We are doing wider consultation. It's not about this region or that region. For me, it's about Nigeria. And what is good for me should also be good for my brothers. And what is good for my brothers should also be good for me. So the answer I will give you about this is that allow the committee, allow National Assembly to do the needful. And at the right time, because if you go to watch football, you wait until when the striker score goal now before you say you win. But if the striker has not even gotten the ball, and you want to say that you have won the ball, no, come on. We wait. At the right time, we make the right statement about this. Thank you. Finally, what are those indices that make things work? Is it demand or the supply of what have you? We look at it today. If there is enough food in the market, and the purchasing power is there, it will reduce the inflation rates. But in a situation where we are not producing, almost 5 months ago to December, if you are bringing anything to do with agriculture, either seedlings, either fertilizer, either anything mechanized, and those things that you use to process agricultural items, duty free, at zero duty, you bring to this country, I believe that with what we are seeing from the books of customs in terms of importation, and what ISEC have given, import duty waivers that they've given, I believe that by next year we will have a bumper harvest in the area of agriculture. If our refineries are working and are working well, now that we had Port Harcourt refinery has started working, and with the Dangote refinery, we have supplies constantly. And with the policy of selling the selling the crude oil in naira is sustained, I believe that we'll be able to bring the rate of inflation down. That is the theoretical aspect of it. But when we come to practical aspect of it as well, look at the number of people, look at the measures government are taking in the area of security today. Even if you don't love this government, you will give this government some credit, especially people like me. My senatorial district, for the past 12 years, we've been having issue of banditry. But today, the thing have reduced. If you ask me, from maybe 100%, I can tell you that it has reduced to about 30–40%. And that is a good thing, because some of the farmers have started going back to the farm. So if we are able to sustain it, the area of security, we've been able to tighten our borders again against smugglers, taking our food items out of our shores. If we are able to sustain all those things, I am absolutely sure that we are going to at least if not lower than what we projected, we are going to meet that target of our 15% downward inflation rate.
Thank you.